So let's start with values. We're all here for an impact convention, and I think it's important to start with the moral underpinning of what impact means. Anyone familiar with effective altruism may have come across this chart. It's basically called the expanding circle. And the way it works is that as a species, human beings have started to care about an increasing, widening range of issues over the decades, over the centuries, frankly, over the millennia. We've evolved to first care about our families, our community, our wider ecosystem, and that's really, again, the moral underpinning for why we start to care about impact. What does that mean for consumers? Ultimately, all of us, our moral underpinnings, our values, our compass, drives also the decisions we make when it comes to purchases. As an ex-McKinsey consultant, I had to sneak in a small McKinsey slide, albeit on the side. And what this shows you is basically that there's now a sizable enough chunk of consumers that will actually pay more for a sustainable product. 25% or so, thereabouts, will actually factor this into their decision-making process. That's an important enough inflection point for this to really matter to business. If you think about the implication when you go into a Tesco or an Asda or a Lidl, it's the difference between you choosing one jar on the shelf versus the other jar on the shelf, if both are more or less the same price or a little different. That's a demand response signal that business is already acclimatized to understand and adapt to. So what does business do? This screenshot on the extreme side is actually one of our customers, Gusto. For anyone who doesn't know Gusto, Gusto is a meal delivery company based out of the UK. They're probably the fastest growing food tech, food service business in the UK. They deliver, I think, about 8 million meals per month. What Gusto wanted to do as the customer problem is to actually be able to give their consumers, people like you and me, the ability to choose a low-carbon meal. So you have the different meal options. You can choose your spaghetti bolognese, you can choose your chicken fajita, but now you can actually choose the low-carbon option. To be able to do that, to be able to surface this optionality in the application in the way that they've done, requires a massive volume of data at a very, very, very fine granularity. They actually need data around weights, logistics, distances, volumes. Processing that data would have been an almost impossible task, frankly, from a human perspective. What Altruistiq does is Altruistiq is basically the data management system that can ingest, process, map, calculate, and attribute and allocate that data in a format that is digestible not just to Gusto, but to you and me, the average consumers making choices. What that enables is for companies like Gusto to actually build a more sustainable business while also improving their actual customer value proposition. That's what Altruistiq does. Managed to stay on time more or less exactly, I think. Right, 3 seconds over.